Hello, vinyl community. My name is Carl with a K, and this is my first records video. This is for Jonathan, the cheap and cheerful record collector who's given us this challenge in honor of his reaching 1,500 subscribers. Congratulations, Jonathan. He has challenged us to dig into our collections to find something we haven't listened to in a while, from at least 5 different genre categories. I still feel pretty new to the record collecting, record listening experience. I started digging back into my collection at the beginning of the COVID lockdowns last spring, 2 years ago now. I set up a turntable for the first time in a long time, and soon upgraded myself to a vintage Pioneer turntable, and soon started buying records. So they don't go back a long time for me, 2 years at most, for most part. But here's what I've picked from 5 of my categories. The first I picked is from the category Jazz, and I picked up this record on Record Store Day, June 2020. That was my first Record Store Day, and after buying some new releases from Everyday Music in Northeast Portland, I shopped their used shelves, the used bins at the store, and they have a lot to choose from. And I picked up this recording by Dexter Gordon, record called More Power, and I've learned that he also recorded The Tower of Power in the same sessions in 1969, April 1969. He had not recorded a studio session since, it looks like, the Blue Note classic Dexter Gordon Go. It was released in 1962. And these two sessions both featured another tenor player besides Dexter Gordon, James Moody, also on tenor, and rhythm section, Barry Harris, Buster Williams, and Al Heath. And I enjoy it. It's a good straight-ahead hard bop recording. It's interesting that they chose another tenor player to feature with Dexter rather than a different solo instrument. I would like to hear the other record from this session, The Tower of Power. Haven't heard that yet, but I have the More Power, the sequel, as it were, or the companion, on Prestige, released in 1969. The next category I chose from, I put together in my collection the category Soul and R&B and Funk. The record is Release Yourself by Graham Central Station. It is a mostly funk style recording. Larry Graham was the bass player for Sly and the Family Stone, and he formed this project and released their first self-titled album in '74, and this is their second LP as a group, also 1974, Release Yourself. I enjoy the variety on this recording. Some of it is funk, some of it would be R&B, some of it leans toward what will become disco, a lot of electronic sounds, and even some that I feel is gospel style. And I think that's the strength of the recording, is the variety. And Larry Graham, Graham Central Station, my copy does have the promo sticker on it. It's a fun recording, so I'm glad I picked it up and re-listened. The next record I picked from my category rock and pop, and I discovered this record by accident. I found it at a Goodwill on the Oregon coast, and I knew nothing about them. It just looked interesting, so I looked it up on the spot, found out a little about it, decided it was interesting enough to give it a shot, and I'm glad I did. This is by the group The Family Tree. The album is called Miss Butters, and I wonder if anyone is familiar with this. I learned that this was a project by Bob Segarini, who later went on to form the Whackers. This is the only recording project, this is the only LP that this group put out, and it's a concept album. So it describes a number of characters and vignettes of stories about them. The style would be called chamber pop, and I definitely hear influences of Beatles recordings around that time. Sgt. Pepper and the White Album come to mind. Also reminded me some of the Kinks and their Village Green recording. So if you enjoy that, if that interests you, I think you would enjoy this. It was certainly fun to listen to. It besides the standard instrumentation of guitar, drums, bass, and piano, there's a lot of wind instruments and some strings that you might think George Martin and Eleanor Rigby. So if you enjoy that, you might enjoy Miss Butters. The next one I picked is from my classical records. My record collection started many years ago when my grandfather gifted me his record collection, and most of it was classical. I enjoy listening to classical and appreciating it, but don't choose that very often when listening to music. I have so many records from my grandfather that most of them I still haven't listened to. So I used the Discogs app to pick a random record. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known where to start. So it picked for me this recording of Franz Schubert's 3 of his sonatas for violin and piano. They were composed in 1816, so it's very much what you would expect from late classical, early romantic style piano and violin sonatas. I'm glad it picked the record, and I enjoyed listening to Schubert's sonatas for violin and piano. Finally, I picked from my category electronic and ambient records. And this record is another I picked up at a Goodwill. It reminded me of hearing it in grade school music class. It is a all synthesizer electronic recording of Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition by Tomita, recorded and released in 1975 on cutting edge synthesizers of the day. I think certainly one of the highlights is the movement called Ballet of the Chicks in Their Shells. Look that one up, and then be impressed that it's all 1975 synthesizer. Those are the 5 I chose, and I thank you again, Jonathan, for challenging us to dig into our collections. And I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you are challenged to go find something new. And I thank you for watching. I need to go turn the record over now.